Forget the spotless, gleaming white statues and the quiet, philosophical politicians wrapped in pristine togas. The actual reality of the ancient world's greatest capital was a gritty, deafening, hyper-dense urban explosion. The year is 113 AD, and Emperor Trajan is at the helm. The empire has reached its absolute territorial maximum, stretching all the way from the British Isles down to the Sahara Desert and from the Atlantic Ocean across to the Middle East. But we aren't looking at the empire from a hilltop palace today. We are compressing the ultimate urban experience into one single, relentless 24-hour cycle. Imagine being a regular traveler stepping into a boiling metropolis of 1 million people, all crammed into a mere 13 square kilometers. This is your ultimate survival guide to one full day in the capital of the ancient world. 6 a.m., the graveyard highway and the commute. To get into the city, you first have to walk past the dead. Local laws strictly forbid any burials inside the city limits, so the main approach highways, paved with meticulously cut volcanic basalt, are flanked by miles of elaborate tombs, monuments, and stone inscriptions. Once you push through the southern gates, the sensory overload immediately takes over. You might expect a quiet morning, but a century-old traffic law bans commercial wooden carts during daylight hours. Instead of wagon traffic, the streets are filled with the chaotic volume of 1 million people moving at once. Screaming merchants, hammering blacksmiths, and open-air schools. The city is a massive melting pot, and you will hear a dozen different languages, from Celtic to Aramaic, before you even reach the city center. 9 a.m., the real estate crisis and street food. You need a place to drop your bags, so you head into a notoriously packed downtown district. The streets here are shockingly narrow, some measuring less than 3 meters across. Towering above you are the apartment blocks, constructed incredibly fast and cheap, reaching up to 7 stories high. The ancient real estate market is incredibly brutal. A basic bare-bones room in a rough neighborhood will set you back roughly 2,000 sesterces a year, a staggering price when you consider that a professional, full-time soldier only earns about 1,200 sesterces annually. Despite this massive price tag, you get absolutely zero amenities. There is no running water, no heating, and not even glass in the wooden window shutters. Worse still, you are paying a premium to live in constant danger, as these cheaply constructed high-rises collapse with terrifying frequency. And as for the plumbing, it consists entirely of a simple pot in the corner of your room. Once it fills up, your only option is to heave the contents straight out of your window onto the chaotic streets below. Hungry from the journey, you hit the ancient equivalent of a fast food drive-thru. There are over 150 of these street-side counters scattered across the urban grid. They feature stone bars with sunken terracotta jars, keeping the food hot. You grab a quick bowl of lentil stew, some pork cooked in a wine reduction, and a cup of heavily watered-down wine. You might even top it off with the Empire's absolute favorite condiment, a fermented fish intestine sauce that smells horrific on its own, but is poured over everything from meat to fruit. 12 p.m., the megamall and global supply chains. By midday, the immense scale of the urban economy becomes apparent. Bread is the foundational fuel of the population, backed by a massive government welfare initiative. The state distributes approximately 35 kilograms of raw wheat every single month to roughly 200,000 eligible citizens. To witness the true economic engine, you head to the newly constructed market complex built directly into a hillside. This is effectively the planet's first multi-level shopping mall. It boasts 6 sprawling floors, massive vaulted ceilings, and over 150 individual retail spaces. The global supply chain feeding this single complex is staggering, pulling goods from every corner of the known world without the aid of modern engines. From the west, a massive 7.5 million liters of Spanish olive oil flood the market every single year. At the same time, merchants haul authentic Chinese silk across grueling overland continental routes just to reach these stalls. You'll find traders carefully weighing out incredibly precise, high-value measurements of pepper and cinnamon imported all the way from India and Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, massive industrial factories in North Africa provide a seemingly endless supply of that pungent, fermented fish sauce the population is so addicted to. And for those with money to burn, the upper levels glitter with high-end luxury goods, including exquisite, fragile glassware shipped directly across the Mediterranean from Egypt. Everything operates on a standardized currency, utilizing a massive network of paved routes and deep-water ports, creating a unified market zone that won't be seen again for over a millennium. 3 p.m., blood, sand, and logistics. As the afternoon heat sets in, you head to the premier entertainment venue on Earth, the Flavian Amphitheater. Because the ruling class uses entertainment to keep the massive population distracted and docile, your entry ticket costs a single, practically worthless copper coin. You take your seat among 50,000 other screaming spectators. High above, specialized naval crews operate a massive, retractable canvas roof system to shield the audience from the sun. The games are not just random violence. They are a masterclass in theatrical logistics. The games unfold in a meticulously scheduled progression, beginning with elaborate morning hunts where the arena floor is physically transformed into a temporary forest, complete with real trees planted overnight. Within this artificial wilderness, specialized hunters track down exotic animals like Syrian leopards, ostriches, and North African lions. It is a sheer display of logistical dominance, proving the administration can transport thousands of wild animals across oceans just for a morning show. As the sun peaks at midday, the spectacle shifts to a grim display of capital punishment, where criminals and prisoners are publicly executed. All of this, however, is just a brutal warm-up for the afternoon's main event. The highly anticipated gladiator bouts erase the myth of random captives brawling wildly to the death. These fighters are incredibly expensive, highly trained professional athletes. They live in specialized training academies managed by professional promoters. Their diets are heavily controlled, packed with beans and barley to build a protective layer of fat, and archaeological evidence proves they received top-tier medical care from specialized surgeons to heal broken bones. They fight in heavily choreographed, refereed matches featuring specific weapon and armor combinations. Because they are massive financial investments, a fight to the death is actually rare, though when it does happen, the body is quickly dragged out through a designated western gate and fresh sand is thrown over the blood. 6 p.m., the engineering of leisure. Ears ringing from the arena, you transition to the absolute center of local social life, the massive public bathing complexes. Built over the ruins of a former dictator's private palace, this complex covers more than 100,000 square meters. For the cost of a single tiny coin, citizens of almost all classes gain access to a facility that required hundreds of millions of dollars to construct. The ritual follows a precise, step-by-step sequence. It starts outside in an open courtyard where you strip down, oil your skin, and get a workout in. Since soap doesn't exist here, you clean up afterward by using a curved bronze tool to physically scrape the thick mixture of dirt, sweat, and oil straight off your body. Once you're scraped clean, you move indoors into a sweltering room heated to a massive 40 degrees Celsius. This intense heat is made possible by a brilliant subterranean furnace system that forces hot air up through hollow floors and walls. Finally, to close out the entire routine, you shock your overheated system by plunging directly into a freezing cold pool. Beyond hygiene, the complex features sprawling gardens, public lecture halls, and extensive libraries containing both Greek and Latin collections. Fueling this massive aquatic playground is an engineering miracle. 11 separate aqueducts rely purely on gravity, maintaining a flawless gradient over distances up to 90 kilometers to deliver approximately 300 million gallons of fresh water into the urban center daily. That equals roughly 1,000 liters of water per person, a consumption rate that easily doubles that of many modern megacities. 9 p.m., neon gods and night terrors. As evening falls, the spiritual and survival mechanics of the metropolis take over, revealing a world where religion isn't a matter of quiet faith, but a series of strict business transactions. You don't simply believe in the Roman gods, you make binding deals with them. The core principle is do ut des, I give so that you might give. You visit the Capitolium in the morning, where a flawless white bull is led to the altar, struck with a hammer, and sacrificed. As blood pours across the stone, a specialized priest called a haruspex cuts open the carcass to examine the liver's shape and color, determining whether Jupiter approves of the empire's latest ventures. While grand temples dominate the skyline, everyday spirituality happens closer to home. Families leave daily offerings of food and wine at small household shrines dedicated to guardian spirits. But if you want personal salvation instead of state bureaucracy, you head underground. In dim, cave-like rooms, citizens gather for secretive mystery cults dedicated to foreign gods like Mithras. Through private initiations and mystical chants, these underground groups offer an emotional connection and a promise of an afterlife that the official state religion completely ignores. Stepping back into the pitch-black night, getting home is a dangerous gauntlet. With zero police patrolling the unlit streets, you keep your head down to dodge muggers and human waste thrown from upper windows. Once you finally reach your room and bolt the door, you sit down to a cheap meal of thick wheat porridge, olive oil, and cheese. Outside, the daytime traffic ban lifts, and the relentless grinding of heavy iron wheels begins to echo through the dark. You have lived 24 hours in a city of massive contradictions. It was a place where a working-class citizen could barely afford a rotting, dangerous room, yet had daily access to multi-million-dollar entertainment venues, marble spas, and a global supply chain for pennies. The ambition required to manage 1 million people without electricity or steam power is staggering. They engineered a unified market, constructed monumental architecture using a revolutionary concrete recipe that still holds strong today, and forged a template for urban living that echoed through time. Every time you turn on a tap fed by a municipal water main or walk down a paved city grid, you are walking in the shadow of this ancient blueprint.